that sort of, I guess it's sort of a marker that we're sort of anti-professional, I guess. But does it sort of make
I wouldn't
the
say
views
that.
expounded more discountable?
If anything, it's just maybe more of the common man aspect to it or something, because, you know, okay, you can't drop an F-bomb in the New York Times.
Right.
Okay, but chances are you also probably went to journalism school if you're writing for the New York Times. Not always, and that doesn't necessarily mean you know anything you're talking about, but
sure.
I don't know. I mean, it's just people, you know, it's just people ranting. And sometimes, like I said, I said before they started the cameras, I think a lot of what I do is just kind of entertainment. I try not to take myself too seriously. Every now and then I'll hit one out of the park. But aside from the original content thing, is where the blogosphere I think has been important is the megaphone. You know, there's been several times I know where I think not so much lately, but I know when some crucial war votes were coming up, or there was something that was coming up with Leahy Welch, and it was just like, you know, getting an email out to a couple other bloggers, and you know, we all need to talk about just 5 sentences on your blog, contact information for Welch's office, and boom, and I don't know, who knows if it has an effect.
Right.
You know, I'll never know. They'll never tell us.
But it surfaces, and it might not have made it to the front page of the Times-Argus.
Possibly. I mean, you remember Daily broke a couple stories that way. That whole, well, I think Odom talked to you about the whole thing with the snooping in the pharmaceutical records, and then we had the whole Second Vermont Republic, white, you know, secessionist thing, which I'm going to keep talking about till the day I die. Rob Williams, you mark my words.
Do you want to fill in the gaps there? What
I don't want to get into that too much, because at this point it's old news, and they're pretty much a punchline at this point. But, you know, I mean, basically they had some people in bed. They were in bed with some people they shouldn't have been in bed with, and instead of doing the right thing, they dug in their heels and went on a character assassination spree and just acted like a bunch of crazy wingnuts. And, you know, I mean.
So there's some self-policing right there. They sort of lost a lot of credibility.
I don't think they had much to begin with, but I think any credibility they had with at least the left end of the secession movement, they lost a lot of it when they lost, you know, I mean, there were people that were writing on Vermont Commons like Bill McKibben and Dan DeWalt, and as soon as they, you know, they either pulled their writings or they, you know, when they started questioning things, they were, so.
Right.
But that's old, I mean, they're old news now. I mean, they really are.
Another aspect is, like you said, I'm not an economist, but you can still have an opinion about the bailout.
I probably know about as much as an economist's butt right now. That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's it's tough. It's just, you know, checking your sources. I think I've issued maybe 1 or 2 retractions. You know, I think there was some record. Well, there was something. You
wouldn't march us into war, would you? Then, if you were.
Depends on who we're going to war against. There was. I'm still not over Vietnam. No. There was I mean, there was something. It was, and it sounded plausible when you listen. It sounded, you know, there was this thing about something that the Grand Canyon and the fundies were starting to dictate the kinds of books that were being sold there, or something like that. Or they had to downplay the fact that the Grand Canyon is really old, not 5,000 years old. And there aren't little dinosaur footprints with the human footprints like Sarah Palin believes, you know. And it turned out that part of that turned out not to be true. So I had issued some kind of retraction. But I mean, calling somebody a, you know, I don't retract that.
Right.
You know,
you actually. I don't know how long ago, maybe a month ago, you and Odom had a really fascinating back and forth about how much a fair game is John McCain's age, and is that sort of like, can that be a punchline, or is that like ageism?
Well, when I have this picture of him with the telegraph, no, I'm kidding.
But when did you come down on that? And I guess
it kind of fizzled out pretty quick, I think. It fizzled out. It's I don't know. When I think of, you know, I think the debate turned into what is ageism. Okay, is it because? Do we criticize because he's old, or do we criticize it because he's just stupid and incompetent? But is his stupidity and incompetence something he's always had, or is it because he's old? You know, I mean, I'll probably be pretty incompetent when I get old, just the way I'm heading already. You know, I think if it's age-related, I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess you could go after age-related things. I mean, to say, you know, he's not qualified because he's old. Well, I don't know. I think of the other old president we had wasn't really qualified either, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But, you know, it's getting worse. It doesn't matter. America's got a whole lot of dumb. But, well, anyway, I got to stop cracking myself up here.
That was good.
All right.
McCain's not as easy an invitation as
Ronnie R. Well, McCain's easy. You just have to act like somebody put a vice grip on your rectum. And then just try to talk for a little bit, and then just think of every person. You think about the guy that slept with your girlfriend in high school, all those kinds of things, and just then you got the McCain thing down.
Get real mad.
Basically, whether you need to or not, just
slow burn
to convey, you know, that kind of thing. That's the McCain. Anybody can do it. I mean, my dog could do it. My dog probably run for president better than McCain could now too. But
He actually was putting sentences together in that debate, though. I'm going to say that he actually was.
yeah,
I mean, he was. I think he's in terms of being articulate, he was more than W. But yeah, he's got to learn that, like, there's.
well, it's funny. It's reading this thing about some right-wing blowhard was on there saying how. Right-wing blowhard was on there saying how McCain's behavior, not looking at Obama, was, how chimpanzees, that's the alpha male behavior, to not look at the, he's superior.
Oh.
So then some real primatologist got on and read this and was like, no, actually that's how a subversive chimpanzee acts, is they don't look at the alpha male at all.
Right.
So
when I saw McCain, he seemed to look down a lot when Obama was calling out his policies, and it almost felt like shame to me. So
he should be ashamed. He should be ashamed.
He's widely interpretable.
He's deplorable. He's deplorable.
But you have come to his defense.
No, I haven't. How have I come? Oh, the BlackBerry thing. Well,
yeah,
that was just a little quick blurt, and I was just, I was just like when they were like, oh, McCain said he invented the BlackBerry, and it reminded me, and I know it was supposed to be a takeoff on the whole Al Gore invented the internet BS, and I was just like, my whole philosophy all this time, because I view this as a war. I mean, this whole thing, it is a culture war, it is a class war. I don't back away from that, like, oh no, it's class war. Well, it is, and it's more than anything else. And this is probably why I've become so disillusioned with like civil disobedience, not so much civil disobedience, but protest and rah-rah marching in the streets and stuff. It's just because I don't really think it makes people feel good about themselves. I don't think it really accomplishes much in most cases anymore.
Yeah, but there's something to be saying for the therapeutic value of yelling, isn't?
Yes,
isn't there?
and that's what I'm saying. But if it's, I guess the question you have to ask yourself is it about the fight or is it about winning? And that's about the fight. I don't think it's necessarily about winning, because if it was just really about winning, I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this. I always do. If it was really just about winning, I think they would have evaluated the tactics and adapted them.
Now, do you mean tactics or strategy?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, the surge
You're wrong, Senator. You're wrong, Senator.
It wasn't an attack.
Oh. Well, actually, the blogosphere didn't start in 2007, I have to tell you here, so.
Yeah, tactics, strategy, we just buried that one.
Yeah.